The annexation of Taiwan is possible. Since the end of the Chinese Civil War, which saw the once ruling Chinese nationalists expelled from the mainland by the Chinese Communists, the Nationalist Republic of China has endured on the unconquered island of Taiwan, where through the implementation of strict military rule in the decades immediately following the war, as well as with the support of the United States, attempted invasions of the island were avoided and subversive elements suppressed, allowing for the development of the previously agrarian island into a thoroughly industrialized state with a powerful tech-based economy. Today, the Republic of China is one of the foremost nations in all of Asia and the world, even managing to surpass the much larger People's Republic of China in some regards. The Republic of China, aka Taiwan, is held up as the most successful democracy in all of Asia, stands as one of the continent's wealthiest countries per capita, and boasts a formidable military ranking among the world's top 30. But that military might comes not out of convenience or opportunity, but rather out of sheer necessity. For years, Taiwan has faced the threat of invasion and conquest by Communist China. Initial direct efforts were thwarted by firm American support as the Asian Pacific became a hot theater of the Cold War. Efforts to subvert and infiltrate Taiwan from within were thwarted by the authoritarian scrutiny of the one-party era, and the resulting stability has allowed Taiwan to loosen many of its previous restrictions. But since then, America's favor, at least as far as global policy is concerned, has shifted incrementally away from Taiwan into mainland China instead, for the sake of driving a further wedge between the Chinese and Soviets, to help bring peace to disputed countries rocked by war during the time, and to later open up new economic opportunities for the United States. This ultimately led the US to change its position of recognizing nationalist Taiwan as the legitimate government of China to recognizing Communist Mainland China instead. Further, Taiwan, by embracing democracy while its very sovereignty remains at threat by a much larger neighboring power, has made itself extremely vulnerable to continued efforts of subversion, manipulation, and intimidation by the mainland, which, recognizing the lines drawn by the United States and global powers in defense of Taiwan, has begun utilizing new tactics to put pressure on the Taiwanese military and political system in an effort to exhaust, confuse, and weaken Taiwan in a potential preparation for something much larger. Mainland China has never surrendered its ambition of conquering Taiwan, and in fact does not even concede to recognize it as an independent state, but rather as a part of China whose government is merely in dispute. This one China principle isn't exclusive to the mainland either, as reunification is also a major principle in Taiwan as well, albeit with the position that theirs is the rightful government of all China. That is, or rather was, the official position held by the Kuomintang-led Blue Coalition. The Kuomintang was the founding party of Taiwan and the original Chinese Nationalist Party. Given its history of direct involvement in the Chinese Civil War, it's understandable why the party has held onto the ambition of retaking the mainland for as long as it has, despite the tremendous odds against them. This desire for reunification has been challenged by the Democratic Progressive Party-led Green Coalition, who has instead sought to reinforce Taiwanese independence, desiring to fully separate itself from remaining ties to the mainland and forge a path not as the Republic of China in exile, but as a new Taiwanese republic. Since the lifting of military rule and the emergence of democracy on Taiwan, the Kuomintang has taken a less antagonistic approach toward the PRC and sought to build closer relations with the mainland in the pursuit of a single China. However, this has been repeatedly met with great outrage from the Taiwanese public, who do not trust the PRC not to take advantage of these compromises. This outrage, paired with China's infringement of Hong Kong's historic autonomy, has since forced the Kuomintang to reconsider its platform and move away from its stance of reunification to a more vague continuation of the status quo, which consequently has given greater lift to the Green Coalition and their aims of Taiwanese independence. Political divides within Taiwan are not as wide as they might be in other countries, mind you, as all sides recognize to some degree the tremendous threat Communist China poses to their security and the need to resolve this as a top priority. The common enemy of China gives Taiwan a very valuable advantage as a democracy, that of rallying together what might otherwise be firmly opposing political factions and encourage them to move in a more unified direction. Given how great of a threat China is because of its wealth, size, population, and proximity, animosity for the PRC could continue to serve as the cohesive force holding Taiwan stable in the face of Chinese threats and subversion well into the foreseeable future. So while mainland China might not cripple Taiwan from the inside, it still carries with it an overwhelming advantage in military resources that would absolutely overwhelm Taiwan in a head-to-head battle, which, while exhaustive to both sides, would inevitably end in a mainland victory and the annexation of Taiwan. However, Taiwan's allies turned the tides back in their favor. Despite the US recognition of the People's Republic of China as the legitimate China, it has continued to provide resources for Taiwan's defense, and in recent years Taiwanese-American relations have been bolstered to a new height unseen since the Cold War. In response to increasing Chinese assertiveness over its neighbors and its apparent attempts to challenge the United States as the global superpower, Taiwan stands as a central link in a containment fence made up of American Pacific allies intent on keeping China from growing too powerful, Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines all depend on Taiwan as a buffer to keep China from controlling valuable shipping routes essential to their economies, and all three could be expected to respond in some capacity should Taiwan be threatened. If South Korea were to respond militarily, this might justify a response from North Korea, either in an attempt to seize land from the south while it's preoccupied, or under pressure from China to keep South Korea from contributing to the war effort in Taiwan. Moreover, China has more than Taiwan to worry about. If it were to fully invest itself in a conquest of this island, very likely drawing intervention from at least the United States and Japan in what could become a multiple-year-long war, China's defenses would be compromised if a rival power like, say, India or even Russia took the opportunity to correct a border dispute or seize some additional land. Even Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei have a stake in the conflict, as the fall of Taiwan would allow China to tighten its grasp over the South China Sea and further dominate their economies or threaten them militarily. Invading Taiwan could essentially kickstart a massive conflict across nearly all of China's borders, placing them in a very dangerous position, which is why mainland China will almost certainly continue utilizing experimental pressure tactics on Taiwan and its allies to coerce it into submission or leave it more vulnerable when war is ultimately resorted to. Is the annexation of Taiwan inevitable? No, Taiwan could very well endure as an independent nation near indefinitely, but its sovereignty in the face of a hostile China depends heavily upon reliable allies. Given the increasing political turbulence the United States has been experiencing over the past few years, as well as China's own rising power both military and economic, it is perfectly understandable why the Chinese might feel comfortable flexing their strength and pushing their boundaries when it comes to Taiwan. Likewise, the Taiwanese should very well consider what their strategy will be if and when the United States falls into hard times. The US of Z thanks for watching. Let's all thank Killer Lightning for proposing the implementation of a probability meter, and as always, support your Legion by liking the video, or join our ranks by subscribing for more. Mr. Z,